Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Evie at Turquesadot and I am going to share my little bird ATCs and how I am going to paint them in this video. So now they're already dry. That's the modeling paste by DecoArt, and really like the texture on it. It's really soft and fluffy, easy to use. So it's by DecoArt Media, and it's already dry and ready to be worked on. So I've picked this black ATC to be the first one to work on, and I am going to use a metallic luster to paint with. That's what I've decided. I'm gonna try that, and I figure they can't be too far from the effect that you get like when you're using the pearlized watercolors or the metallic paints watered down to paint them. So I'm gonna try this. Even though it's more pasty, I want to try it. So those are the colors that I've selected. I've also made a little chart with the warm colors. So these are the DecoArt Metallic Lustre, Fat Fuchsia, Orange Flicker, which are the ones that I used in the video before, and here they are. Look up close. The Radiant Red, Copper Kettle, Gold Rush, and Iced Espresso. Isn't that a beautiful brownish color? Love it. So yeah, these are more earthy and I love them. And I also created a little chart for the Champagne Ice, Silver Spark, and Black Shimmer. So those are all of the colors that I have of the metallic luster. And now I have little charts to refer back to for future projects. So I'm going to go back to my ATC and start with this one first. And I'm trying to decide what colors to use. I want to use the same colors that I've used on all three ATCs and just change them around to match or to give good contrast against the different ones. So I'm going in with the Orange Flicker on this one because it's one color that I did not use, but it is the color of the branch in one of the ATCs, so I want to use it to pull that color into the ATC and make them all connected. I'm just adding that extra leftover to that ATC. I'm using a small brush, old one, because I don't want to get that paste on a good acrylic brush. And I'm sorry that I'm going across the frame to get at the water. I forgot to change my little water container. I forgot to move it to the left, and I'm a lefty, so sorry for that. So I'm adding some water to the metallic luster paint or paste, and I'm using that color for his belly to get some nice pop out of his little belly and to make it brighter than that background. And I love the way it looks with that Fat Fuchsia branch. So I also added the same one to the beak, and that's how he is looking after only those little two areas added, and painted the feet or the legs. And once again, I'm crossing the frame with my arm. Sorry for it. And now I'm trying to decide what colors to use as I go up his body. So I've decided to use some of the silver that I was dying to try and dip into. So I'm just putting some of that on my craft mat, and that's what I'm going to use as a palette. I'm just taking a little bit out of the containers and putting it on the craft mat so that I can add some water to it and water it down, like just make it flow easier. And I'm gonna go in and add it right against that orange flicker that I added to his belly. So
it's 2 o'clock.
so his chest gets a little bit brighter and lighter as it goes up. And I just kept on adding a little bit to different areas of his body, just to add that little shimmer silver in some other areas. And now I'm using the champagne as the next layer up, also adding that to some other areas like his tail. And I was gonna go right in and use the blue, but I decided that that turquoise blue was too close to the one that was mostly dominant in the background, so I'm gonna use the gold rush as the next color up, and I will be adding it. Now I decided to move the water container, so I'm gonna create some little abstract feathers for his wing with that gold rush color. And I'm sorry that my computer keeps telling me the time that I'm recording the voiceovers. But as you see, I added some feathers with that gold, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to use this cosmic blue because I think it will show up better and give more contrast to that background if I use this one instead of the turquoise. But I'm going to add some of that blue in between the gold that I added for the feathers on his little wing, just so that gives it a pop of color and it's not too close to the edge, so it does not get blended into the background. And now I'm going to go to the top of his head and add some of that orange flicker and some of the gold right at the top of his body, and some little details here and there, those tones. And he's done. That's what he looks like right now. I will be going into the birdies and define the areas with a black pen later on, so I'm leaving these right where I feel happy with the color combination and the layers, and hopefully when I go back in with my black pen and add some defining lines and details, all of that will pull together. So now I'm going to go into my second ATC, and for this one I also have the same color on the branch, but the background is completely different. So I want to pull in some of the same colors that I used on the black one into this one, so they get connected not only by the bird theme but by the colors, even though they're all very 3 different ATC color combinations, they'll be tied in together by theme and colors. So I'm adding some of that orange flicker to his little beak and to his feet, or foot, because it's one in this case. And I'm still thinking what I want to do. So I go right in and define a wing by using that same color. And I'm just using some really light brush strokes to define that little wing. And then I pick some of the gold rush color to go in between the lines that I've just made for the wing. And I'm gonna also add that to his belly again, because I'm looking for colors that will look really nice against the colors that I've selected for the branches, but I really want to make sure that they pop out from that background that the little birdies are on. So now I'm using some of the champagne color at the top, and over that I went in with a cosmic blue and blended those together, and then I added some of the gold here and there in different areas, and that is what the second birdie is looking like so far. And I am having so much fun with these. I really love the silhouettes of these birds and playing with them. It's been a lot of fun creating these ATCs today. So now I will be moving on to the third ATC, and as you can see, all of them have very different colored backgrounds and textures and effects, so I'm trying to tie them all together by the way I paint my birds and the way I selected the colors for the branches. So I'm gonna go in now with the fat fuchsia that I had as the color for my 2 other branches, and I'm gonna add that color to this little birdie's belly. And since it's gonna be a big area, it will tie those colors super nicely from one ATC to the next. And if I decide to use them as inserts on a little pocket sheet, they will all look different, but they will go really well together just by staying with the same color scheme. So I'm sorry I pulled down a little bit and it's kind of a little bit out of frame. So for this one, I've decided to add some of that black shimmer just to pull in some of the black that I have in that black ATC into these lighter little birds and get some black going besides the outlines that I'm going to be adding. I want to add some black into this little birdie's body because that background is way darker than the other light ATC, and I want this little birdie to pop out. So I'm mixing that black shimmer and then I'm going in with some of that champagne color. And I painted the legs with the gold, but then I went in and added some black to the feet and the little legs too. So that's what he looks like after being painted with the metallic lustres. And I'm loving my little birdie. So now I'll leave them to dry, and then tomorrow I'll come in and work with defining lines using my black. So before I do that, I'm gonna go into this one and add some black to this one too. So these two will have some black mixed in to connect them to the black ATC, and I add some little light brush strokes to the wing to define it more, and I kind of went a little bit overboard at the top, so you will see me going back in with the cosmic blue and getting that black toned down and blended into the top so that the wing stays defined and it doesn't have that much black at the top of his body, because I didn't like how that looked. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun working on these today. I had not worked in ATCs for a while, and now I've made, what, this is my 5th one. So I created 2 the other day, and now I've worked on these 3, and I will keep on going because I want to make some more with the birds tomorrow using some of the warm colors as background. So that's what these 3 are looking like so far. I'm going to define that little wing, and I can't stop working on them. I keep going back and adding little layers and things. I'm just defining that wing a little bit more with the black, and then I'll leave them alone and let them dry so I can come back again with the pen. So these are the colors that I've selected for the 3 different ATCs. I'm trying to share them with you. I don't know if you can really tell, but if you've been looking at the mat, craft mat, as I was dipping into them and going into my ATCs, you would be able to tell like the different colors. But I tried to quickly show you the ones that I ended up using for each one. They're all the same, they're just combined differently on each ATC and according to each little birdie's body or silhouette. So thanks so much for watching this part, and I will continue on this same video, but I will add that finishing touches to it really soon, so I'll be back. Okay, so I've decided I'm gonna try these DecoArt glass markers or glass paint markers to make some details on my birds. So I'm opening up all of my packages, and those 3 are the ones that I ordered with my first helping artist order, and the 2 blues and the browns were sent to me by Marla, so thank you, Marla. I'm gonna be trying out some of these today, and I really had to shake those markers to get that paint flowing out of them. Once they start flowing, they work perfectly, but wow, were they hard to get that paint going down on them. So I'm basically trying it out on the black for that white marker to see the flow and the consistency of the paint as it comes out, and I tried the gold and the black on the white little scrap of paper. So now that I know how they're flowing and how they work, I'm gonna go into my birds and start adding some details with those markers. And I am not looking at anything as I create these. I'm just developing them as I add paint to them, trying to create some interesting patterns and details on them. But they're not realistic. I don't think there's any birds out there with the patterns that I've created on them. But I'm using the glass paint marker to add the eye on him, and I'm not gonna lift it up just yet because I want it to set down, and I'm afraid it might drip if I lift it up, so I'm leaving there to dry a little bit before I lift them up and show them. But that was one certain thing that I knew where it went, so I started by adding the eyes to the 3 of them, and I'm gonna be working on the 3 of them at the same time. Like, I'll keep going back and forth and adding interesting things to them. I'm just playing with those paint markers to see what I can add. I decided to go grab my Fude Ball. It's a Japanese pen with pigment ink. It's still a thick tip, but it was thinner than the paint markers. So for the details that I wanted to add on some of the parts of the birds, I'm using that one. And that pen you can use on top of paints. So I love that pen a lot. And once I'm done with the outlines and the basic drawing parts, then I'm gonna go back and use those glass paint markers to add the patterns and the details on my birdies. So he's coming alive with all that little doodling that I'm doing on him. And I'm very free with the lines that I'm adding. I'm not working on them like super carefully. I'm just letting that ink flow and let it happen and enjoying the process. So we'll see how they turn out once I'm done playing on them. But they are definitely popping out of those ATCs. And I'm going to be playing with the warm colors on some other ATCs and some more of the birds. I really liked working with those silhouettes, so I want to try different things with the paints and different things with that stencil, and try to make a bird theme with a few ATCs using the same products but in different ways. So we'll see how that goes, but I just want to finish these today so I can share them with you and you get to see how they ended up looking. after all of these layers. And that paint marker is quite well, it's liquid, so I have to let it settle a bit before I can go over those inks. But that's what this little birdie is looking like so far. I want to go into that black area that I created, but I have to wait for it to set, like, dry, so I can go back in. And this is what the black ATC is looking so far. It's looking like so far. And since that was the one that I worked on first, I can go back into it and add more details. So that's what you'll see me doing. And I'm speeding up the process because I was working on the 3 of them at the same time and adding lots of layers of details on them, and it would have been a long video for you to watch, so I'm trying to speed up the process. If any of you would like to see a real-time type of video on these, well, let me know, and then I'll just try to share that. But I just feel that most of you don't have the time to watch, at least when you're not used to a channel that does that. I guess you're not expecting long videos from me, but as I share my process, they're getting longer. So just let me know what you all think. Isn't he cute? Just fun with those little patterns that I created with the paint pens. He's a happy little bird. And once I brought them on and up close to share them with you, I kept finding things that I wanted to add to them. So I kept playing on them, on and off, and I would share it and then go back in. And once the paint had dried up a little bit, I would go back in and add little details. Like that one, I still feel that I can go back into because there's too many patches of black and white in his face, and I want to break it up with other colors. I have to wait for that to dry, so I'll do that later on. But those are my birdies, and that's how they're looking so far. I'm quite happy with the whole process, and I've liked them every stage and every step of the way. So it was a fun set of ATCs to work on. These are the markers that I ended up using. So this is the gold, and that's the name of them, just in case you would like to find them. And this is the Fude Ball pen that I'm in love with. It's by OHTO, or OHTO, and it's pigment ink. It's a thick tip, but it works really nice. So thanks so much for watching. Hugs and kisses to all. Besitos. Take care, and thank you for stopping by. So happy bird watching. Bye. See you soon.